And we are live. Alrighty. Hello. Start in a moment. Just gonna get things set up. Here we go. Alright. Alright. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 41 of Benny in the Booth podcast. Thank you so much for your support to this point. I very much do appreciate it. I will not be doing the intro outro song for a few weeks, being that it's 3 weeks and 9 days and not allowed to listen to music, so won't be having that for a few weeks. Just to explain that, I ended up pushing the podcast off till today because I wanted to do it after all the All-Star festivities of MLB happened, even though the MLB All-Star game itself was not like the biggest thing in the world. But I just wanted to wait till all of it ended and then to sit down and talk about it. So that's why the episode is coming out Wednesday today, not yesterday. That's pretty much all updates I have. Sadly, no guest this week. Not sure when the next guest will be. And other than that, that's pretty much up to date. So let's start off with All-Star Week and All-Star Week. So we have in the home run derby, the last participants announced was Julio Rodriguez of Seattle, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, and Corey Seager of the Rangers. The matchups for the home run derby were Schwarber versus Pujols in the 1-8, Pete Alonso versus Ronald Acuna Jr. in the 2-7, Corey Seager versus Julio Rodriguez in the 3-6, and Juan Soto versus Jose Ramirez in the 4-5. On the home run derby pan out, it actually was a very good home run derby this year. And I will say, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Albert went farther than I think a lot of people were expecting. Like, I think I'd say most, actually, not everyone, expected, like, he'll not get past the first round. And he ended up getting past the first round and came close to beating the eventual champion, but lost. But anyways, first round, Julio Rodriguez beat Corey Seager 32-24. Juan Soto beat Jose Ramirez 18-17. Pete Alonso beat Ronald Acuna Jr. 20-19. Albert Pujols and Kyle Schwarber were tied after 3 minutes. I think they both had 30 seconds bonus at 13, but Albert beat Schwarber in the 1 minute tiebreaker, 7 extra home runs to 6. Basically, how the home run derby worked this year was 3 minute rounds, and automatically there's a bonus 30 seconds for everyone beyond the 3 minutes, and there's extra bonus 30 seconds if you hit in the regular time 2 home runs beyond 440 feet, which some people did, some people didn't. In the rounds. But anyways, that's how the first round went. So that set up Julio Rodriguez versus Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber versus Juan Soto. Julio Rodriguez beat Pete Alonso to end Pete Alonso's chance at a three-peat, 31-23, which the only person that has, and to this now, the only person, because Pete did not three-peat, to have three home run derby championships is Ken Griffey Jr. Pete was not able to get past the second round even. And then Juan Soto beat Albert Pujols 16-15, setting up Soto versus Julio Rodriguez, and Soto walked it off 19-18 to win the home run derby. And what the funniest part from that derby is that Soto kept going even though like he had officially won. Like he just kept going as like security blanket. Eventually he stopped and like he accepted it. And I think the best part for Julio Rodriguez is A, he now has the experience, but B, next year's All-Star game is in Seattle, where he plays games. So I think if he ends up being the home run derby next year, that could be huge. A, having experience, and B, being in the ballpark you play in every day. Like, that's a huge benefit if he ends up playing next year, which who knows if that will actually happen. I also will give MLB credit. They did a new thing with the intros this year. They basically had players come out of this like mini tunnel kind of thing. But also apparently Ronald Acuna Jr. almost got caught fire during the later end of the intros, but it was good. Great home run derby. Last year's was still better because it's hard to beat what can happen in Colorado with elevation and stuff. But a very good home run derby. And that's what ended up happening. Juan Soto is your 2022 home run derby champion. The 2022 All-Star game was happened yesterday for the first time since 2000, back when it was Bob Costas and Joe Morgan on the call for NBC. Joe Buck was not the play-by-play guy for the MLB All-Star game, being that he now is completely with ESPN, not just for football, but even away from Fox Baseball. So it was current Dodgers play-by-play, and he also does a bit for Fox Sports during playoffs and regular season. Joe Davis, who's a very good announcer, I very much like, and I think they made the right choice for that, took over. It was still Smoltz as the analyst, but I think they got the right guy, especially with how the interviews went during the game, which I will give credit. They did a great job with the interviews in the game. But anyways, it is a random fact, but it was like a crazy fact when I saw that, when I realized it was not Joe Buck. But anyways, first, the game actually got started off crazy. Kershaw, who started for the National League, gave up. Oh, I guess more background on this. Before the first pitch, they had interviewed Ohtani, and he knows a bit of English, but not a lot. But he literally they asked, like, what's your plan against Kershaw? He said, first pitch, first swing. First pitch single. Now, what nobody expected to happen was on a 1-2 count to the next hitter, Aaron Judge, he got picked off at first base. And they held to nothing that inning. The NL jumped out right away, though, in the bottom of the first with an RBI single by Mookie Betts, scoring Ronald Acuna Jr. and a Paul Goldschmidt solo home run to take a 2-0 lead, giving National League fans some thought that maybe the NL will end their losing streak. FYI, the NL hasn't won an All-Star game since 2012. Yeah, It's crazy. But sadly, that lead did not last long, thanks to the other Dodgers pitcher in the All-Star game, Tony Gonsolin, giving up a 2-run home run to Giancarlo Stanton, followed immediately by the next hitter, Byron Buxton, going back-to-back with a solo home run to take the lead. Go-ahead solo home run, and that was more than enough as the American League beat the National League 3-2. And Giancarlo Stanton for the game-tying 2-run homer is your 2022 Ted Williams All-Star Game MVP. Also, the Contreras brothers, who both started for the National League, had 3 ABs, 2 strikeouts, 1 each, and Wilson Contreras also reached on an error. And by the way, and also I will note one of the interviews. Well, I mean, all of them were pretty good, but Alek Manoah one was also like very good and interesting. If you want one to like specifically go back to watch, you can probably find it on YouTube. Or even MLB at Bat app. But his was a very interesting one. But American League won the All-Star game 3-2. And that's from the All-Star game. Sad for me to see the American League win and not National League, ending the losing streak. But then again, at this point, I feel like the National League's like never going to break the losing streak at this point. But I don't know. But anyways, wrap up the first half weekly recap. I could have done this first, but either way. From last Tuesday, with 4-2 win versus the Cubs, the Orioles has longest winning streak at 9 games since 1999, and at that point we're at 500. They ended the streak ended on Friday. They are at 500 at the end of the first half. Reds came back from down 3-0 with a 4-run ninth to beat the Yankees 4-3. It was actually, I had a bit of that game. It was just kind of funny that like the Yankees blew that lead, but in a way though, like at this point, really, for the Yankees to be losing games even like that is like not the worst thing in the world, because I mean, look at the division lead. They literally have at least a 13-game lead over everyone else in the division, and that's specifically over second place. It's 13, 14 and a half, 16 and a half, and 18. Like, they could lose games kind of like that, and they won't have to be concerned about losing the top spot in the division. Shane Bieber had a complete game, giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, and 7 strikeouts. First complete game of the season for the Guardians. In 4-1 win over the White Sox in Game 1 of a doubleheader. Rob Thompson, the Phillies intern manager, became first Canadian-born manager to ever manage a game in his home country, born in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. They played against the Blue Jays. They lost that game 4-3. Minnesota-Milwaukee game had 3 rain delays of 1 hour and 43 minutes and still played, and Milwaukee won that game 6-3. I remember like looking at between the MLB at Bat app and stuff and just saying like, postpone the game at this point. Like 3 delays is crazy to have for one game. 3, not 1, not 2, 3. Like, it was just crazy, and I'm still shocked they even managed to play that game out. But either way, the Brewers won that. The Brewers won that game. 8-run 12th by Oakland. Vimayo Machin sac fly. Ramon Laureano RBI single. Dermis Garcia RBI double. Elvis Andrews RBI walk. Chad Pinder go-ahead grand slam in 14-7 win versus the Rangers in 12 innings. 4-run 7th by the Tigers. Mickey RBI single. Also scored on a throwing error by catcher with Miggy trying to steal a base. Steal third. Jonathan Scope RBI double. Spencer Torkelson RBI single. And 7-5 win versus Kansas City. And Esteury Ruiz of the Padres made his major league debut in first MLB at bat. Got his first MLB hit via single in the second inning of 5-3 loss versus Colorado. That's from Tuesday. Last Wednesday with a 7-1 win versus the Cubs, Orioles had a double-digit win streak, 10 games for the first time since 1999. That ended it on Friday to the Rays, but they are looking very good right now, and maybe they could still have a chance at the playoffs. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. Either way, Shohei Ohtani, he in 7-1 win versus Houston, went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. And with this start, he becomes the 6th pitcher to have at least 45 strikeouts and 1 or fewer earned runs over a 4-game span since earned runs became an official stat in 1913, joining Jacob deGrom, Randy Johnson, Clayton Kershaw, who did it twice, and Pedro Martinez and Chris Sale. Kyle Farmer, Mike Moustakas, and Stuart Fairchild, all solo homers, and Fairchild's was his first career home run, went back to back to back. 5-run third by the Yankees, capped off by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, 3-run bases clearing double. And the Yankees won this game on a walk-off wild pitch that scored DJ LeMahieu to win 7-6 in 10 innings. Charlie Montoyo was fired by the Blue Jays this week, replaced by bench coach John Schneider, with the Blue Jays just not having as good of a season as expected. I mean, they still are right now potentially playoff bound, but they were expected to be division winner, and they're definitely underplaying. But, I don't know if Montoya was really the right answer, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Teoscar Hernandez had a 2-homer game, both 2-run homers in the 4th and 8th, an 8-2 win versus Philly, and the Dodgers came back from down 6-0 to beat St. Louis 7-6 with a 2-run 7th, Will Smith 2-run homer, and 3-run 8th, Mookie Betts RBI double, Trey Turner 2-run single, and 2-run 9th, Max Muncy sac fly, and Hanser Alberto RBI single. That's from Wednesday. Thursday, the Angels traded Tyler Wade back to the Yankees for cash. Tyler Wade's a utility player who used to be on the Yankees, went to the Angels in the offseason, now is back with the Yankees, and I think that will be a very good move. That could help them very much. In his major league debut, and for unvaccinated players for Kansas City, where they had 10 players unvaccinated who couldn't play in Toronto, Nate Eden hits a solo home run for his first major league hit in a 3-1 Kansas City Royals win over the Blue Jays. Tristan McKenzie went 8 innings, 5 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 12 strikeouts, career high in strikeouts, and 4-0 Guardians win over the Tigers. Down 3-0, Tampa Bay put up 5 runs in the 7th. Josh Lowe RBI double, Taylor Walls 2-run single, Yandy Diaz 2-run single, and a 5-4 win versus Boston, not Baltimore. Luis Robert, first career grand slam home run in the 4th, and 12-2 White Sox win versus Minnesota. Nick Gordon pitched in this game, going 1 inning, giving up 4 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 1 walk, 0 strikeouts. And Sam Haggerty had a solo inside the park home run for Seattle in the 4th, and 6-5 Mariners win versus Texas. Last Friday, Julio Rodriguez became the youngest Mariner player with a grand slam, 21 years old, since July 6th of 1996. Alex Rodriguez at Texas, an 8-3 win versus Texas, which kept the Mariners' winning streak. They're red hot right now. They're on a 14-game winning streak going into the second half. CJ Cron and Brendan Rodgers went back-to-back in the 7th, both solo homers, in 13-2 win for the Rockies versus Pittsburgh, a part of 4-run inning. Clayton Kershaw took a perfect game into the 8th, but broken on a leadoff double from Luis Rengifo in a 9-1 win versus the Angels. Down 5-2 in the bottom of the 9th, Giants put up 6 runs to win, capped off by Mike Yastrzemski walk-off grand slam home run off Josh Hader, 8-5 versus the Brewers. All those runs in the bottom of the 9th were off Josh Hader. That's from last Friday. Last Saturday, Paul Goldschmidt hits career homer number 300 in 11-3 win versus the Reds, which he didn't even know at first that it was a home run. Albert Pujols tied Lou Gehrig for 11th on all-time extra base hit runs scored list with number 1,889. AL Future Stars game. The Future Stars game is actually on Saturday. Usually it's Sunday, but they changed it this year. But in that game, AL beat the NL. Well, in Dodger Stadium, 6-4. Shea Langoliers, catcher for the Oakland A's in their minor leagues, was the MVP. With the RBI double in the fourth, which was first Mets hit of the game, Pete Alonso broke the record for most RBI by a Met in the first half in Mets history with 75, passing David Wright in a 2-1 Mets win versus Cubs in Game 1 of a doubleheader. Also had go-ahead RBI sac fly in the 11th in that game. Matt Carpenter had 2 3-run homer game, one in the fourth, one in 4-run first, and one in 4-run fifth, and 14-1 Yankees win over the Red Sox. Down 5-3, Blue Jays came win one on 4 straight hits. Vlad Jr. RBI double, Raimel Tapia game-tying RBI single, Bo Bichette single, and Teoscar Hernandez walk-off RBI single to win 6-5 in 10 innings versus Kansas City. Jose Ramirez had a 2-homer game, 3-run homer in the first, 2-run homer in the second, in 10-0 win over the Tigers. Didi Gregorius had his first home run, which it's crazy that it took this long, of the season. 2-run homer in the 8th in 10-0 win versus Miami. And then again, I mean, I know like Bryson Stott's still ahead of him, but kind of whack that took this long for him to hit a home run this year. And Trey Turner had a 2-homer game, solo home run in the first and 2-run homer in the third in 7-1 win versus the Angels. And then from Sunday, the last day of the first half, Jeter Downs with his first major league home run, 2-run homer for the Red Sox in a 13-2 loss to the Yankees. 8-run fourth by the Yankees. DJ LeMahieu RBI single, Aaron Judge RBI single, Matt Carpenter 2-run double, Aaron Hicks RBI single, Isaiah Kiner Falefa sac fly, and Tim LeCastro 2-run homer in that game as well. Nick Prado had his first major league home run also on Sunday, solo homer in the second in a 4-2 Royals loss to the Blue Jays, and Yohan Moncada with the 2-run homer, and Andrew Vaughn solo home run went back-to-back in a 6-run seventh. Also included a Josh Harrison 3-run homer in 11-0 win versus the Twins. And that is the first half recap in terms of games. Standings updates, which I will say for now on, I will also be including like games back. They are behind division and games back also in the wild card. And I will be including a wild card standings at this point because now it pretty much becomes more crucial in the second. Once you hit the second half, that a wild card and also distance between you and the between teams and the division leader becomes very crucial now in the second half. So AL East standings: Yankees are in first place, 64-28 on 2-game win streak. Well, they're nothing back in either because they're in first place in the division. Rays are in second place, 51-41. At one point, we're on a 5-game win streak, ended on a 1-game win streak, 13 games back in the division, and are 1.5 games up in the wild card standings. Blue Jays are in third place, 50-43, ended on a 3-game win streak, 14.5 games back in the division, are one of the teams in the wild card game, one of the wild card teams currently in the AL. Red Sox are in fourth place, 48-45, ending on a 2-game losing streak. Are 16.5 back in the division and 2 games back in the wild card. Orioles in fifth place, 46-46. We're at one point on that 10-game win streak, ended on a 1-game losing streak, 18 back in the division, 3.5 back in the wild card. AL Central standings. Twins in first place, 50-44, ending on a 1-game losing streak, nothing back in either because they're first place in the division. Followed by the Guardians, 46-44, ending on a 3-game win streak, 2 games back in the division, 2.5 games back in the wild card. White Sox in third place, 46-46, ending on a 1-game win streak, 3 games back in the division, 3.5 back in the wild card. Followed by the Tigers in fourth place, 37-55, 4 games, ending on a 4-game losing streak, 12 games back in the division, 12.5 back in the wild card, and fifth place in the AL Central's the Royals, 36-56, ending on a 3-game losing streak, 13 games back in the division, 13.5 games back in the wild card in the American League. And then the AL West standings, Astros in first place, 59-52, ending on a 1-game losing streak, nothing back because they're in first place in the division. Mariners in second place, 51-42, ending on a 14-game win streak 9 games back of the division, but they are in the wild card game currently, a game up on everyone below them in the wild card standings. Rangers in third place, 41-49, ending on a 4-game losing streak, 17.5 back in the division, 7.5 back in the wild card. Followed by the Angels in fourth place, 39-53. At one point, we're on a 5-game losing streak, and then on a 3-game losing streak, 20.5 back in the division, 10.5 back in the wild card. And then the Athletics in fifth place, 32-61, ending on a 1-game win streak, 28 back in the division, 18 back in the wild card. By the way, before I get into the NL standings, there's one thing I wanted to mention. So Oakland had one. Each team in the All-Star game has one representative. And Oakland's representative was Paul Blackburn. And they were originally going to fly him. We're not going to charter a plane for him, and he was going to have to fly commercial. And the Astros decided to step in and actually allowed him to fly, I think with his family as well, on their chartered plane. On the Astros' own chartered plane. Now, I will say I still hate the Astros for what happened in 2017. But for what they did for Paul Blackburn, they gained back some of my respect for that. I respect them for that. Especially with being like division rival. Like aside from the whole cheating thing. Like division rival. Like very much gain respect back for that. Not fully, but definitely gained some respect back from me for that. And kudos to the Astros because they did not have to do that at all. And even Paul Blackburn was saying in his interview, like he knows they didn't have to, and he very much appreciated it so very much kudos to the Astros on that. Anyways, getting back to the standings, that's the AL standings, NL East. Mets in first place, 58-35, ending on a 1-game losing streak, nothing back in either because they are first place in the division. Followed by the Braves, 56-3, ending on a 1-game losing streak, 2.5 back in the division, 6 games ahead of everyone in the NL wildcard standings. Phillies 49-43 in third place on a 3-game losing win streak, 8.5 back in the division. They are a wildcard team in the National League currently. Followed by the Marlins 43-48, ending on a 3-game losing streak, 14 back in the division, 5.5 back in the wildcard. And then the Nationals 5th place in the division, 31-63, ending on a 9-game losing streak. At one point we're on a 9-game losing streak, ended on a 1-game win streak. 27.5 back in the division, 19 back in the wild card. Then NL Central standings, Brewers in first place, 15-43, ending on a 3-game losing streak. They are first place in the division, so they don't have anything in regards to either standings and games back. The Cardinals in second place, 50-44, ending on a 2-game win streak. Half a game back in the Central, NL Central. They are a wild card team currently in the National League. Pirates in third place, 39-54, ending on a 1-game win streak, 11 back in the division, 10.5 back in the wild card. Followed by the Cubs, 35-57. At one point, we're on a 9-game losing streak, ended on a 1-game win streak, 14.5 back in the division, 14 back in the wild card. Followed by the Reds, 34-57. At one point, on a 5-game win streak, now ended on a 2-game losing streak, 15 back in the division, 14.5 back in the wild card. And then the NL West standings, Dodgers in first place, 60-30, ending on at one point, we're on a 7-game win streak, ended on a 4-game win streak. Nothing back in either because they are first place in their division. Followed by the Padres, 52-42, ending on a 1-game losing streak, 10 back in the division. In the wild card currently in the National League are the Padres. Giants in third place, 48-43, ending on a 3-game losing streak, 12.5 back in the division, half a game back in the wild card. Followed by the Rockies, 43-58, 5-game, and at one point on a 5-game win streak, ended on a 1-game losing streak, 18.5 back in the division, 6.5 back in the wild card. And then the Diamondbacks, 48-52, at one point ended on a 1-game win streak, 21 games back in the division, 9 games back in the wild card. That's the division standings update. Wildcard standings currently are Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Toronto are the current wildcard teams officially. And then behind them in this order is Boston, Cleveland, Baltimore, Chicago, Texas, LA, Angels, Detroit, Kansas City, Oakland. And then the National League, currently the Braves, Padres, Phillies, and I think St. Louis is tied. Are wildcard teams as of right now. And then behind them in this order are Giants, Marlins, Rockies, Diamondbacks, Pirates, Cubs, and Reds, and Nationals. And then tomorrow is going to be the first day of games for the second half. Not every team is playing, but a few teams are playing. And the first set of games. So first day of games, which will be tomorrow. First game is going to be Texas at Miami at 1:10. John Gray starting for Texas. No stars have been officially announced for Miami. None of the rest of the stars have been actually announced for tomorrow's games at all. As of right now, I'll double check, but pretty sure they have not given an official word on stars for Thursday for anyone else as of right now. Yeah, that's still the only one. New York and Houston have a doubleheader. 1:10 will be the first game. 6:40 will be the second game. Tigers and Oakland doubleheader. 3:37 is game 1. Game 2 time has not been announced. And then Dodgers and Giants at 10:09. That game will be on ESPN. And that's the MLB Weekly Recap part of this episode. And a quick few notes from NBA. Oh, wait, actually, before, things are not looking good for Juan Soto staying in DC. And officially, I think the final straw has been struck for him trying to stay in Washington. As in, at this point, he's not. He's going to be gone at the deadline. And the final straw that was dropped was basically a tweet that I saw that said Juan Soto's agent confirmed that the Washington Nationals refused to charter him a flight to the Home Run Derby after he rejected their $440 million contract extension. He had to fly commercial and arrived in LA at 1:30 a.m. and still won the Home Run Derby. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Just because he denied an extension, they didn't fly him. He had to fly commercial. That's kind of ridiculous. He's the best player on the team, and he's the only person that was there from their team. Hold on one second. A, in the Home Run Derby, and B, in the All-Star game. And that, I think, is going to be the final straw. I think he'll be out of Washington by the trade deadline. I will obviously give updates what happens at the trade deadline as the trade deadline comes and goes. The deadline officially is August 2nd, so we still have some time before the deadline. But that is the MLB portion of this episode. NBA, just one note for NBA and one note for NFL. DeAndre Ayton signed with the Pacers originally had signed a match offer sheet with Pacers 4 years, $133 million, but Phoenix matched it and keeps him instead, at least through, I think it's like January or something this year. And then for NFL, the Patriots traded N'Keal Harry to the Bears for a 2024 7th round pick. And that's this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening or watching this week's episode. If you are new here on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a notification bell on so you're notified when I go live or post a video. If you are listening, follow the podcast, leave a review, and put the notification bell on so you're notified when I post an episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.